ahimsa paramo dharma. I said, very good. It's part of the Mahabharata tradition, one of the verses of the Mahabharata. Wonderful, it is there. But my friend, you are just reading half the verse. Read the full verse. Do you know what the verse says actually? You, the Hindus may be, because they get caught up with Gandhiji, say, ahimsa paramo dharma. Okay, calm down. You know the second part of the verse that is not being talked about? Let me talk about it. So you know the sense of perspective I'm talking about. The perspective says, read the full
Get the
verse.
full picture.
Full picture. This is half the picture. They saying, oh, come and step all over us. It makes you a pacifist, a wimp. There's no ahimsa paramo dharma. The second part of the verse says, but hinsa is necessary to protect your dharma. See? For the sake of dharma, if necessary, take up hinsa. Hinsa, violence, take up we are not a pacifist religion. So be aware. The second part of the verse, ignore it completely. What's the story of Mahabharata? Did Krishna say, oh Arjun, we let them step all over us and we'll walk away? He said, stand up and fight. Fight for your real reason is protecting your dharma, the idea of what your whole tradition is all about. In the same way I'm telling Hindus, don't be ahimsa paramo. What ahimsa paramo? If your tradition, dharma is being attacked, challenged, stand up and take up. If this is the important aspect, the second verse is missing. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm digressing, but I need to plug it in because this ahimsa paramo dharma is doing hell for us. It's turning us into wimps. Okay, the second part is this. How do you define ethics? Wonderful. You can look at some of the, we have got a lot of law books regarding how we should behave with each other, how should society interact with the kings or the leaders, etc. We've got all these wonderful ethics. But our ethics are always evolving. It recognizes that society keeps moving very fast. Nowadays it's moving extremely fast. It's global now, no longer Hindu or Indian. So society is moving very fast. How do you protect, how do you promote ethical ideas? And there are all sorts of weird things people do. And I love to explore this. And of course, we have got books on ethics and different sampradayas will have different books of ethics that you mustn't eat this, you mustn't do this, you mustn't misbehave, you mustn't, adultery and so on. That's fine. These are all social codes of conduct, perfectly fine, and we also have them. And they are evolving, by the way. So some of the ethical codes that we have from Manusmriti, we abandoned long time ago. And suppose you belong to Swamina movement, there's a Siksha Patri, listen to this. So we have evolved and we've got our own codes of conduct promoted separately by different sectarian movements. We say they're all fine. Depending if you belong to the movement, stick to them, fine. But the deeper vision that comes from this deeper comprehensive vision, Vivek, deepest vision of how do you decide what is good, what is bad, what is acceptable, what is not acceptable, how do you decide? Beautiful way, no other religion come near us. See, this is why big showing off today. You see, we say, how do you define ethics? Very simple. What's good, what's bad for you, or whatever. Very simple. Look at the power. Again, this cannot come from secularism. Let me give the secularist answer to this. First, and then I look at the spiritual answer. The secularists and the British humanists, so I used to interact with them very often, but now they're saying, Jay, you are too heavy, keep away. Because I'm pushing them into spiritual humanism. They don't want it. So humanists will say, how do you define how to behave ethically? Very simple, it's called the golden rule. It didn't come from the British humanists, it came from Confucius in China. He says, do unto others as you would like them to do unto you. So clever, isn't it? Because then you straightway know what you should do. Suppose, I'm chasing after somebody's wife, then somebody will be chasing after my wife. I don't want that. Okay, stop it then. I'll step on somebody's toe, they'll step on my toe. If I throw bombs at somebody, they'll throw bombs at me. Don't do that. This is how you define ethics. Do unto others as you would like them to do unto you. This is also visible in Christianity, but I think origin is Confucius. And the British Humanist Association loves it. We say, what is your codes of conduct? Mr. Lacan is called human rights, equality for human beings. And the issue of social service, this idea of protecting human beings. Wonderful, sounds so clever, modern. So you see, this is called the golden rule. This is how the humanists and the secularists operate the ethical code. Say, do unto others as you would like them to do unto you. Fine, fair enough. Sounds nice and clever. It's not enough, not good enough. We go straight forward. We are told we are not a secular nation, we are a spiritual nation. We go straight forward. It says the following. He says, if you say, do unto others as you would like them to do unto you, that is called commerce, business with the rest of creation. I don't step on you, I don't steal from you, you don't steal from me. We live well with each other. We have the cake, we share it properly, don't make crumbs, and behave well. So clever. At best, the secularist vision of ethics is how to live with others. That's the best they can do. What comes from us is not to learn how to live with others, that's called business, banya, commerce, but how to live for others. No other tradition has got this. You see, all the great prophets of, say, Christianity, we talk the same language, live for others. It's in the welfare of others that lies your welfare. Kind of stuff will be visible. But the deeper vision that we say is, when you learn not to live with others, but live for others, it's a difficult task. I tell you, it's very difficult. Because we always say, no, this is my territory. When you learn to live for greater good, rather than your personal good, you're leading an ethical life according to Hinduism. And any activity you take on, which is taking you back to your true nature, not this little body and little tiddler here, but the thing that's underpinning this body, anything taking me back to my true nature, we say is good. And anything that's taking me away from my true nature, we say bad. So suppose you kind of kill somebody, you see you're killing yourself, the same spirit is there and you murdered it. So you're going against your character, so it's bad, don't do it. So if I get drunk, I lose control of my true nature, so it's bad. Suppose you become you meditate and become very focused, I'm going back to my true character, that's good. See how we define good and bad, ethics and morality. I'm telling you, my friends, your tradition is the most mature, the most majestic tradition the world has ever seen. That is why embrace it. Don't be frightened to call yourself a Hindu.
Free e-learning course in Hinduism. To register, please visit www.hindu-academy.com.
Talks on Hinduism, sponsored by People Care, encouraging caring for the elderly in their own homes. For more information, please visit peoplecare.com.